Thank you so much for joining us once again. It's a beautiful day here at High Impact Television, and we are going to be talking about the road to 2023 elections. It's the politicking year, and the season is such that we are going to be seeing a lot of changes, a lot of conversations, a lot of drama, and getting political analysts to tell us what they think, their observations, is key. And that is what we're doing here today, as you're going to see from time to time here at High Impact Television. A guest is joining me very, very shortly, and we're going to discuss politics in Nigeria based on the updates right now. Do stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Temitayo Taiwo Siddiq. First things first, I have to ask you, how has the political space been for you in recent weeks? Has the changes, have you been reacting to the changes that have been happening recently?
Thank you very much, Esther, for this opportunity, and good morning to everyone listening. For me, it's not really been much of a surprise in many ways, in many instances, but it's important that, and this is because for political watchers, for observers, many of the developments that we see now, if you've really put your ears to the ground, if you've really been watching closely the political developments leading to this time, you would have been able to see a pattern to what is going on now. But this is not to say that it has not come with intrigues. We cannot talk about politics without intrigues. Politics, especially in a developing democracy like ours, comes with a lot of intrigues. So to answer your question directly, how I have been able to receive these changes, like you put it, I think is just welcoming. Nothing really mind-blowing has happened yet.
Really? So you mean that as so far so good, everything that has been going on has been according to your predictions? Let me understand your predictions before the primary elections, during the primary elections for most major political parties, and after. We started the year with certain politicians. For somebody like the Labour Party presidential candidate, he was not in the Labour Party at the beginning of 2022. Somewhere along the line, he switched. Are you saying you are not surprised? And then PDP chose their presidential candidate, and then they chose their vice president. Come on, are you trying to tell me that all of this drama, you saw it well scripted?
Well, it should interest you to know that I have a show. I have a political show that airs weekly. Let me not talk about the show now, but the point is that for those who have come on that show a number of times, and for those in my close circle, those under my sphere of influence, they will tell you that many of these developments, I foresaw them coming. So maybe I did not see totally the full package, but I saw the trajectory that this is where this is likely headed. So you talked about the Labour Party candidate, talking about Peter Obi, former Anambra governor. Now, yes. It was clear from the beginning that he was not going to win that ticket, especially because when you look at it from the point that you are dealing with a major opposition party who wants to return to power. And if they want to return to power, many interests will be at play. And many interests involves or includes the governors of the party. The governors of any political party constitute a major block in the party. And so Peter Obi is not a governor. He's a former governor. And to add salt to injury, if I may put it that way, is the fact that he doesn't play the kind of politics that the average politician plays, average Nigerian politician plays. So it was clear that he was not going to get that ticket. And it was also not going to get the vice presidential ticket, because you have most of the PDP governors at current are second-term governors. And if they are second-term governors, political history shows us that they would want one of theirs to emerge. And with with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar emerging as presidential candidate, it was clear that one of the governors from the South had to be the vice presidential candidate. And it was also clear that that person cannot be Peter Obi, especially because of the fact that which Nigerian politician, the average typical Nigerian politician, wants to hear you say the money that wants to travel with you when you go around telling the country, telling people that we are not going to be sharing money anymore. We are going to move from consumption to production. So when you look at all of those things, it was clear they were not going to support him. So I think that he did the best. He took the right path to sustain his brand.
I'm going to butt in just not to lose the thoughts. When you said the way the average Nigerian politician runs politics is different from the Labour Party, not to belabor it this time around, but what is the average pattern? Let's say for the layman who is watching, or for a foreigner who is watching us right now and is wondering, how do Nigerians play politics? Are you saying that first? That's the first question. The second question is, are you saying that the Labour Party's presidential candidate's manifesto is not falling in line with maybe what the delegates might want to hear or what the people might want to hear? You know, the exact words of, we are not sharing money anyhow. We are moving from, from spending to productivity. So help me understand how the system has been, as an analyst, as an observer from the onset, in comparison with each candidate that we have right now, as much as we can take for different political parties.
Esther, you need to understand that one very key currency in the game of politics. I'm not a politician, but I've studied politics for years. And I've also, as a journalist, this is what I do. I sleep, drink, eat, and breathe politics. So to a large extent, I do understand what the game of politics is about. Now, I like to say that one key currency in the game of politics is interest. And interest, I would categorize into three. There is personal interest, there is group interest, and there is national interest. Let's leave it at that three for now. Now, in politics, and for an average politician, the first that comes into play at any given time is your personal interest. It is only after the personal interest that we start talking about group interest and then national interest. And it should interest you to know that most times people masquerade personal interest as group interest, and they also masquerade group interest as national interest. So for a politician, yes, you want your country to be better. In trying to make your country better, you decided to offer yourself. And in offering yourself, there are certain perks, there are certain benefits that will come to you as a result of offering yourself for office. So largely, if I'm going to offer myself for office and I'm going to lose my family, if I'm going to offer myself for office and I'm going to lose my source of income, I'm going to lose relevance, do you think that I would still want to go ahead? No. So how do you expect governors of a major opposition party who will be running an election where they have a greater chance to return back to power after 8 years in the political wilderness? How do you expect them to support somebody who is not from within group interest now? I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I get you.
Who is not within their group. And again, this party led the country for 16 years. They are out of power. It has taken the support of, like you've heard now, people like the River State governor and some other persons to sustain the party while in opposition. The way we run party system in Nigeria is not the dues of the member, the membership of the party that sustains the party. It is patronage and funds from politicians, top politicians, especially state governors. That's how these parties are funded. So
Okay.
if you find somebody who is saying clearly that if I'm president, I am not going to allow this
to continue,
then you are indirectly constituting a threat to the establishment within the party.
To the establishment, or what establishment? The political establishment that is on ground, or the people of the country, because we're running a democracy.
To the
establishment,
to the establishment within the party. Don't forget that I said earlier that governors constitute a major and formidable block of every party in Nigeria. For every party that has a governor, 1, 2, 3, as the case may be, the governor's voice is about one of the most important voices in the party.
Okay.
Now when you look at it from that point, you will see clearly why there is no way a Peter Obi could have emerged. And there are also other things. If we want to move, if you permit me, want to move quickly, there is also the fact that there's group interest. Group interest in the sense that the governors want one of theirs.
Okay.
So let me stay back a bit on individual interest. For someone like the Rivers State Governor, Governor Nyesom Wike,
yes,
he had a personal interest to become president. That would have lifted his profile. Now, you may want to say, oh, he has only spoken for the southern region. What he was doing was, I agree that to a large extent he has spoken for the southern region. But what about the fact that he could have supported a Peter Obi, for example, who was already gaining national momentum at that time, gradually, and people were saying you have to give to the Southeast. What about issue of fairness? If, for example, it was national interest that we need to promote unity in the country, why did he not support Peter Obi, for example? Why did he not support, well, even if you don't like Peter Obi, why did he not support the former Senate President, Ayim Pius Ayim? Why did he not support, okay, you wanted a newbie, you didn't want somebody who has held political office. Why did he not support Mr. Wamboa, the former president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria? So you see that clearly it was a personal interest. He wanted to be president. He wanted to be president. And so the moment he wanted to be president, he was going to go all the way to pursue that ambition. And then on the other side, you had an Atiku Abubakar, who this year makes it 30 years since he has been gunning for the position of presidency. And so you would not expect that somebody who has been pursuing a goal for 30 years would back out at the last minute because when he knows that as a founding father of the party, he has an influential voice to sway opinion and the minds of the party members to where to sway. And you saw the argument that he made about how, if we're ever talking about zoning, we should be talking about the fact that the last president of PDP extraction came from the south, and so the next president from PDP extraction ought to come from the north. And when he put forward this argument, he was able to win some party, some big wigs in the party. He was able to win their minds, and in the long run, the PDP saw that, okay, there is the merit in zoning to the south, where the south, which has not had presidency over the last 7 years, and there was also merit in the fact that going by the section 7 of the PDP constitution of rotation of office, the article's argument in some way also hold water to the extent that if the last president of PDP extraction, talking about Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, was from the south, then it's also reasonable that the next presidential candidate of the PDP comes from the north. So in their own wisdom, they decide to throw it open. Am I satisfied? Do I agree with that decision? That's a matter for another day. But I think that that was the best way they could keep the party as one at that time.
Okay, but let's look. Still talking about personal interest here. You've heard the term Emilopon in the ruling party right now. Is personal interest enough reason to present yourself as one who should lead not just a political party now, not a state, but an entire country? We are running a democracy, and yes, the governors are key to, but understand that as much as Peter Obi was a former governor, the current presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress was also a former governor, because we're looking at their trajectory, how far they have come. I know you would say that the All Progressives Congress, flag bearer right now, presidential candidate right now, is the head of the party. Yes, you would say that. But let's get into, don't you think that both of them were almost on the same pedestal, looking at the fact that they were former governors?
So I always say that the APC was a totally different case. It's a different kettle of fish altogether. Okay. Firstly, the presidential candidate of the APC had so much to do with the emergence of the presidential candidate of the APC had so much to do with what position the president, talking about President Muhammadu Buhari, what position he was going to take. Okay. So many persons did not see Tinubu emerging, especially because of the developments that took place towards the primary election. Okay. When the president came out to say to the governors of the party, allow me to choose my successor on the basis of reciprocity, just like you have done in your respective states. Now, I said this, and for everybody who cared to listen at that time, was that I said, what we need to understand is that Tinubu was the only one who was looking forward to an election.
Why did you say so? Why was it the only one?
Because it's formidable and he has a well-oiled political machinery that
I'm going to button. How about the vice president? How about the vice president? He okay, although I would say for Rotimi Amechi, many people probably didn't see him coming, but how about the vice president? Don't you see that he also had the body language to show that he was preparing for an election?
No, I don't think so. And this is my own opinion. Okay. I don't think that the vice president was relying on an election. If you ask me, the vice president was relying on the president's endorsement, because again, let's go back to political history. We cannot discuss politics without bringing history into play. Definitely. The last time we had a president leaving power, there were a lot of candidates who were dancing around that a lot of people actually thought that it's done. These people were going to emerge. So I'm talking about the Obasanjo era, where we had people like Governor Peter Odili of Rivers State at the time, and then Governor Donajik of Cross River at the time. But in the long run, the city president endorsed somebody who was not even interested in the office in the first place, who is the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua.
Yes.
And then brought Goodluck Jonathan, the governor of Bayelsa. Bayelsa was not even one of the most performing. Goodluck was not even one of the most performing governors at the time. So he brought both of them to national stage and forced, if you like, his will on the party, and they had to obey his will. So, in essence, if you want to look at it critically, you will see that Professor Shibajo actually was relying, including the Amechi you mentioned, was relying on the president's endorsement, or if you like, consensus, because the idea all along is that the president endorses somebody and then they adopt that person as a consensus candidate. But the moment the president saw like you said, the Emilokon
slogan
narrative, the president was forced to backtrack. If you ask me, I'm not in the corridors of power, but he was forced to backtrack, because that outburst by Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abeokuta showed that he was ready to go all out. He wanted to whip up sentiment from his own part of the country, that's the southwestern part of the country. Yes, he wanted to whip up sentiment, but apart from whipping up sentiment, there is the fact that he was sending an indirect message to the president. I think that for a president who wanted to leave a legacy of at least keeping the party that brought you to power intact, he saw clearly that if this man doesn't emerge, he may go out of his way to maybe do something to hurt the party's fortunes at the general election. Especially when you look at it that there have been rumors about Tinubu having a plan B of the
changing political
Party,
parties.
SDP. Yes. And there's also the fact that Tinubu and Atiku, the presidential candidate of the PDP have worked together as political associates for years. First, from their days in the SDP, in the Third Republic, where Abiola emerged as presidential candidate of that party. And then there's also the fact that when Atiku was drenched by the political reign of Obasanjo, who didn't want him to succeed him in 2007, Atiku in 2006 went to meet Tinubu, who had just at that time formed the Action Congress. And Atiku ran for the first time at the general election on the platform of the Tinubu-led Action Congress in 2007, where he came third. So when you look at it from that point, it was possible that it's a politician. If I couldn't get this, and the manner in which I couldn't get it was that not like I failed, you twisted me out of the process because you are the sitting president. Then I could as well work with Manatiku, my friend for many years, who would go a long way in benefiting me, if you say it that way.
Okay, because of our time, I would like to put a pause on the conversation here. And on a later date, we'll come to talk about the selection of the vice presidential candidates for different parties and preview it, look at how it's been in the past as well, look at how it's going to affect 2023 and pick it up from there. I have to thank you so much, Temidayo Taiwo Siddiq, for joining us this morning. It's been a great time discussing politics in Nigeria with you. Let's do this again some other time.
Thank you very much, Esther. Thank you to ImpactTV for inviting me.
Yes, do have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.